What you're looking at, traders, what you're looking at is a weekly chart of Bitcoin. Up to date. This is with live data as well. Okay, so we're looking at it up to date. And what I'll do is I'll take even this off so we have an even bigger, wider chart to display here. Let's see how that looks. That's good. Okay. All right, cool. So traders, now I want to point out, using this weekly chart of Bitcoin, as you can see on the very left-hand side of the chart here, we were down in this relatively narrow state. Now, for those of you who don't know this, I'm using on this particular chart, the red line is the 200 period weekly moving average. And I believe that, yeah, that blue line is the 20 period weekly moving average. All right. Now, if we look to the left, we can see where the 20 and the 200 are relatively close together. This is what we call a narrow state, right? So we've got a narrow state between the two. And here we have a relatively wide state between the two. Okay. A relatively wide state between the two. Okay. Now, this is not going to be a lesson on narrow and wide states per se, but I do think it's interesting. I do want us to be able to, in a very quick way, know whether or not Bitcoin on its weekly time frame is in a narrow state or a wide state. Okay. So over on the far left, all the way back in late 2020, we were in a narrow state. Okay. And a wide state is not necessarily bad. It's just that, you get into a wide state after Bitcoin's price has exploded quite a bit. Okay. Now, once your stock goes from narrow to relatively wide, what becomes important to read from a technical perspective are the congestion periods of Bitcoin. Now, what is a congestion period? It's when you have a break or a pause in Bitcoin's flow. So let me give you an example. I'm going to draw something for you here. So here would be a run up. All right. That would be a run up and then a pause. And then this would be a congestion zone and then a resumption of the upward movement. This would be a congestion zone. Okay. You could have a congestion zone that's not necessarily vertical like that. You could have a congestion area that's more on a slant like this. And in this case, you have a pause or a congestion area that is slanted. And in a sense, these two congestion formations are really the same. They're just at a different angle. So one congestion is lateral and one congestion is at more of an angle and not so lateral, but they both accomplish typically the same thing. All right. And you can at times have a mild congestion zone that drifts upward as well. Okay. And these are your three sort of types of congestions. Now, I'm doing it to the upside, but if we were to draw these congestion zones to the downside, you'd have congestion like that. Or it could do like that. That would be your congestion. Doesn't have to continue. You could have a congestion zone like this. That, see? And then boom or boom. Okay. It can go both ways. So we're going to take a look at the weekly chart of Bitcoin, and I want us to go over all the congestion periods in the chart. Okay. And so we have this run up here and then this congestion period. It's usually a break or a pause in the action. Okay. And boom. Okay. So that's congestion period number one. We also develop a congestion period up here. And that's a little wider congestion period. That is congestion period number two. And then as you can see, we develop a congestion period down here. And this is more of like that slanted congestion period. And this is congestion period number three. Now notice here, this is that slanted congestion period again. There's congestion 4. Here's that upward congestion period. And we drop and we have another congestion period here. And we break. Now, I'm hoping it looks clear. Congestion is where you have almost a salt and pepper period with your item. So you have red, green, or red, red, green, green, red, red, green, green, or red, green, red, green, red, green. It's a period where there's back and forth. There's commitment this way, then commitment the other way. Commitment this way, then commitment the other way. Sometimes it's commitment twice, boom, boom. Sometimes it's commitment twice again, downside, boom, boom. Sometimes it's one commitment up, then commitment down, and boom, 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 boom. And when there's no congestion, you just have fluid flow, okay? So look between the boxes of congestion and you see fluid flow, more fluidity, all right? Now let me know if you see that, guys, all right? See that? Does that make sense? These congestion boxes that I've drawn. You see it? Make sense? I know that the comments are delayed, but I can sip while I wait for you. Awesome. Okay. So now that we see clearly where Bitcoin's weekly congestion zones are, I want you to understand that when a congestion zone is broken through, we must look to the next prior congestion area as the next area that might find some stability. Okay? So when we broke through this congestion area, boom, when we broke through that, we had this congestion area to look at as an area that Bitcoin might try to find some stability in. And if we look carefully, boom, it did. Okay. Now, if you break through a congestion area And you know what? Let me just clear this. So we broke through this congestion area. We broke through to the downside. So we must now say, oh, wait a minute. The next area that could serve as some support is the zone or area of the prior congestion zone, which is there, right? Now let's extend it. Boom. See? More or less. Okay? Can always be a little bit of slippage through and stuff. That's okay. Right? So if we break through a congestion zone, you look to the prior congestion zone as a zone. It's never going to be perfect. This is not like kindergarten drawing perfect between the lines. No, it's not that. It's a general guideline, a general area. We can't pinpoint it specifically to the penny, but this is generally the area of the prior congestion zone. All right. Okay. Now, when you break through a congestion zone to the upside, you must look at the next congestion zone above you as possible traffic jam resistance. So, see this? Boom, we come right into this congestion area and we boom, crash into that and drop back. So this congestion zone becomes resistance. Okay. All right. Now, this drop back creates the next congestion zone. But this one is the congestion zone kind of slanted, right? And this one is slanted this way. Now, when we break this one, you're always looking at the most recent one, okay? Not necessarily the one before, you see? So please understand that, all right? Okay, the most recent one. So now the most recent congestion zone is there. We break. So now we're going to look somewhere down in this area as a possible pause area. And lo and behold, it tried to hold in somewhere in that former congestion area. See? But once we didn't hold, we tried to hold, but we broke it. And so now we have to look to the prior congestion area, which is down here, and hope that, let's see if I can, where do I get that? We hold. So anyway, let's just go across here. Boom. Boom. And now we need to see an attempt by Bitcoin to hold this congestion zone. And boom. All right. It just like this one held that one. If this one holds that one, the assumption is that we could move back to do just what these did, Does this make sense so far? Wow, This is like an NFT right here, guys. All right. Somebody NFT that and sell it. Just give me a little taste. If you sell it, just a little taste. Does it make sense? You got this so far? How to pick a zone that it should start to stabilize in. All right. Very powerful stuff, guys. Very powerful stuff.